Hello, my sparkle sisters. Yay! Oh my gosh, I am so much better today. I had the mystery virus. I did not have COVID. I did not have the flu. I have the virus. They don't know what it is, but it is the mystery virus. So, for the first time in 42 years, Tom and I were sick at the same time. Oh my gosh. And we have like no memory of last week. I'm not sure who slept the most, but by golly, I am full of piss and vinegar this week. So, we are so excited that y'all are hanging out. I jumped on just a little bit early to give everybody a chance to jump on. As I was getting ready, Linda Tupin, who's one of my dear friends, she put this up on her comment since choices. She said, if someone's opinion has the power to take you off course, just make sure they're paying your bills 10 years from now because they just stole your future. So I don't know who needed that little piece of advice, but of the 9,000 things that I have to share with you today, that I have to tell you is so important. How many of you all, I'd love for y'all to put your name and where you're from. And I'm going to get this pulled up here, make sure that I am live streaming where I think I am, because you never know how that might happen. And here, let me get on here with comments. Let's see who's going to be the first one on. Marcy, of course, from Keesler Air Force Base, where I went to tech school back in 1981. Oh my gosh, like most of y'all were not even alive. That's when I went to school to be what was considered a tech controller. We considered ourselves water walkers. And so it was the first of the technology world. So glad you're on. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Rosie. 18 others. Great. Oksar, we're glad you're on with us. Elowina, that is great. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot from overseas. So I don't know who all is going to be hanging out, who all needs to hear what you need to be hearing today. But today we are hurrying into our hiking boots. It is time. Whoop, I lied. That's so funny. You know what happens when you take a lot of cough drops? There we go. We're on chapter 4. Just so y'all know, chapter 4, we're hopping into our house shoes, and it is time to clear out the clutter in your mind. Who's got some clutter? What's clutter in your mind? Type in, let me know what is cluttering your mind right now. Oh my gosh, we're so excited that y'all are hanging out. Hey, Chris, good morning. Good morning. So who's got clutter on their mind? Like, where's my perfectionist out there? We're on my perfectionist. We're gonna, Lord willing, we are gonna kick that out. We're kicking that to the curb today, and allow you to work in excellence and not perfection. And we'll get that as right as we can. So there we go again. Just put your name, where you're from. Hey, Mary Beth Hundley, brand new team leader, soon to be director in qualification down in Florida. We're so excited that you're joining us today. One of the stories that I share in my book is one of my most embarrassing times. Y'all know whenever I first got started, 37 years ago, I was active duty in the Air Force. I just told you I was there at Keesler. And at the time, the F word was my favorite word. And now my favorite F words are fun and faith and fellowship and all those fancy words. But that was not my go-to word back in the day. And I have worked really, really hard to eliminate that word. The problem with that word is that it covers just a myriad of emotions. I always say, that my prayer is that whenever I go home to heaven to see Jesus, that the F word is not my word on my word out. But I was getting ready to speak. I was a brand new national sales director. And every time that I get a little big for my britches, like I just get a little full of myself, maybe I confuse my title with my, my impact, which should not happen. But I was at Jackie Swank's house there in Shreveport, and she had asked me to speak, and it was the fall, and I was so excited. We had just gotten through last week. I talked about serving for Hurricane Katrina, and I mean, we were just really, really on a roll. And so I get ready to speak, and I go over and I just get a little something to drink, and I take this drink. And literally, y'all, it is like I have poured battery acid down my throat. Just like, ah! And the F word came out, which just like out of nowhere. Like I don't even know how that happened because I had no air. But the F word came out. I was so embarrassed. And I remember asking Jackie, I said, Jackie, oh my gosh, what do you have in your cider? Now, Jackie was about 4'11" and Southern Belle. If you knew Jackie Swank, just type that in there. She's one of my favorite human beings on the planet. And she said, Diana, I declare I have no cider. what is in the crock pot? And she said, oh my gosh, that would be potpourri. And so my system was definitely cleared out, and highly suggest you do not drink that. And so the whole thing today is that things are not as they appear. They really are not. And I think that if we're not really careful, we find ourselves living a life that we've created in our mind in what we call our second conversations. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad there's so many of y'all joining us today. There's a lot in Europe joining us today. So I'm welcome. We're so glad. And I talk pretty fast, so good luck on that. And I did an ad, and I ended up like global. So there we go. So I'm excited to see all of our new friends. The thing that I want to talk about today, and I've been talking about it ever since we got started, is what we call the second conversation. And the second conversation is when somebody looks you in the eye and they say, oh my gosh, you are a magnificent wife, or you're a magnificent mom, or you're a magnificent leader, or oh my gosh, I love the way that you make me feel about me and my gifts and my talents. Oh my gosh, you're a great speaker, or oh my gosh, you could be the president of this company, or oh my gosh, you could lead so well. And the people that say that, like, they legitimately mean it. Now, what happens is a couple of things. One thing is that there is a statement in the back of your mind, and it's kind of like a PowerPoint. You know how, like, whenever you're working with a PowerPoint and you turn the slides, those of us who are a little bit older, we used to have a projector, right? And a slide would come down and then it would show up on the wall. It's the same concept. When somebody says something like that to you, you're either going to receive it or you're going to reject it. Now, most of us are going to reject it. In other words, what kind of comes up, and this is what happened to me for a long time, is, oh my gosh, they don't know who I am. If they knew the things that I did when I was young, or if they knew the choices that I made, or if they knew how skewed my motive is, or if they knew how bad my language was, or how mean my thoughts are, or who I'm not, right? I'm not rich. I don't have a college education. I don't have this. I'm buried in all this debt, and I'm talking about making money, and like all of these things that were reality, but they weren't who I was. It was circumstances that I had created because of bad choices. Now, what would happen is somebody could say, oh my gosh, Diana, you're going to be a national sales director with Mary Kay. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way, because I don't look like them. I don't sound like them. I am, they're classy. I'm trashy, like all the things that go along with that. And then what would happen is that no matter what they said, is I would block it. Now, the second part of this, and I'm going to come back and dig on that in just a second, is that we also need to think about how rude that is to that person. Because when you say, oh no, not me, oh no, I'm not that person, oh no, that I could never do that, or oh my gosh, you just don't know, whatever, what you're saying to them is that they're stupid, right? You're saying to that person who was willing to open up their heart and give you a compliment, and you're like, no, you're wrong, no, you're not that. And we steal their compliment. We steal it from them. So anytime somebody gives you a compliment, you're like, oh, this whole thing, or all this, or whatever, what happens is you diminish the other person. When your brain is trying to make you diminish yourself, what you're really doing is you're taking away. And so one of the things we all need to learn how to do is say thank you. And y'all type that in, thank you. We just need to learn to say thank you, and then shush, just shush. Like, you don't have to tell them that dress is 900 years old. If y'all do that, right? You don't have to tell them all the things. Just receive it as the gift that they meant for it to be. Right? Don't we want people in our circle of influence? Don't we want them to feel good when they're in our space? Well, if your second conversation is so low, and then how many of y'all have ever been around someone who just requires a lot of affirmation? Like, no matter what they're doing, like, you just got to pump them up all the time, all the time, all the time. And even when you give them compliments, oh no, well, I think I did this, and I think I did this, and well, I'm sick and I won't be able to do this, and blah, 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 and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm emotionally exhausted being with this person. Well, we don't want to be that person, right? We just want to be able to say thank you so much. And so that second conversation is what we are going to work on. We are cleaning that out. And so one of the things I want y'all to do, if y'all want to, if you're open enough to do this, yeah, everybody, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all are doing good. People like that drain me. Yeah, they drain me too. I was one of those people. And just so you know, I have to make a conscious decision not to go into all that other stuff. So I just think that it is really, really important. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to jump in our mental closet, right? We want to recognize the second conversation. We're going to hop into some fuzzy house shoes and we're going to clean some house. All right. We are going to choose to not just survive another day. We're going to choose to survive. Now, one of the other books that I'm reading for my leaders, and I have to tell y'all, my favorite author is Mark Batterson, Chase the Lion. And I know I get through a couple of books. I've always got 3 or 4 books going. But what I want you to do is to have something that like moves your soul. So like if you're dealing with like a second conversation, like you need something else to read. And so anytime that I find myself getting mentally tired or I'm getting worn out or I've been working on a goal for a while, like, and it's just like elusive, like I just can't get there. What I know is that it is not skill, talent, or ability. I know that it is not the company or the product, or maybe I'm talking to someone about the Lord and like it's just not going anywhere, right? But remember, we just operate knowing that God is orchestrating the hearts. We are only responsible for the ask, okay? I'm going to say that again. Love for y'all to type that in there. We are only responsible for the ask, and then we get to work in the holy anticipation of knowing that God is preparing the hearts to hear the message that we are called to give. Now, that's going to be different for all of us. But in this book, Chase the Lion, I want you to listen to this. I mean, like really listen to it. And there cannot be any yeah buts, right? We laughed about that in Boston, like no yeah buts. Don't yeah but this. It says, quit living as if the purpose of life is to arrive safely at death. Run to the roar. Set God-side goals. Pursue God-given passions. Go after a dream that is destined to fail without divine inspiration. Stop pointing out problems. Start becoming part of the solution. Stop repeating the past. Stop repeating the past. Start creating your future. Face your fears, fight for your dreams, grab opportunity by the mane, and don't let go. Live like today is the first and last day of your life. Burn sinful bridges, blaze new trails, live for the applause of nail-scarred hands. Don't let what's wrong with you keep you from worshiping what is right with God. Dare to fail, dare to be different, quit holding back, quit holding out, quit holding back, quit running away, and chase the lion, right? I mean, can you imagine, Sparkle Sisters, the thousands of us that are on here every week, can you imagine if every week that we started out our day with that kind of manifesto? Can you imagine what we could do in the world? Oh my gosh, I was just watching on Netflix. It's the thing about the Cold War, and it is 9 things, and I was never a history person, and so but it goes back and it like connects the dots through history. I mean, all the way up to today. Like it's so fascinating, and it is the power of people with a purpose. Now that can be good or bad purpose, but it is those when they start talking about charisma. What is charisma? Charisma is when people will follow you. Now we get to take the responsibility that it's going to be about other people. What he talks about in here is that whenever we do the right things for the right reasons, day in and day out, what we do is we get to allow God to show up and show off. And that's what today is about. And in order to be able to do that, we've got to move from perfection, right? And move into the land of excellence. So now I'm jumping back over here. Oh, good. I'm loving all this. So y'all, again, put down where you're from. What are y'all hearing? And so I believe that really, as a woman, we can do all things. We just cannot do all things in all seasons. I'm 60, and so I've been able to live through, the last, obviously 6 decades, sometimes singles, not for long. I met Tom 2 weeks after or 2 months after I became 18, when I turned 18. So I've been together with him since I was 18. We had Samantha whenever I was 21. I joined the military 2 weeks after high school. So I was in the Air Force for 8 years. I started Mary Kay when I was 23. I still have the privilege of 5 more years. And so my life has been through a lot of different things, through sick parents. We talked about that. Going through, I was diagnosed with cancer myself, and praise the Lord, I'm, cancer free. So, but going through just lots and lots of different things. What I know is that you can do all things, just not all things in all season. And so that when you're really looking at your life, you've got to change your thoughts to change your legacy. And where I want to really talk about is empowering others, right? We talked about the second conversation, that when people give us that compliment, we're going to choose to receive that. When we recognize that conversation that does not serve us well, you're not the type, they don't know enough about you, you couldn't lead, all those horrible things that people have told you your whole life, told you about your family, your ethnicity, your orientation, all that, like all of these things, right? It becomes this huge filter. So if you can picture your brain, this filter. So when things are coming in, it's going to come through that filter. And what it does is that it changes your legacy. And so we have to take captive every thought. And I think I do this every week, but we take captive that thought that I'm not enough, or I failed before, or I'm too big, I'm too little, I'm too white, I'm too black, I'm too brown, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too whatever it is that we've been talking about, to erase and replace, that you hold that up to the light. The light for me is God's word. Hold it up to God's word. Is that true about me? Do I want that to be true about me? And would I say it to my friend? And if not, I refuse for that to be my filter. And one of the things that I think that holds us back, for those of us that are called for a big impact. Now, big impact does not mean a lot of people. In the Bible, when Jethro is talking to Moses, he's talking about that, Moses, what you're doing is not good, because Moses was listening to every case. Like, he was listening to everything. He's like, this will wear you out, and it's wearing out the people. And he said, select amongst you those that are able to be over 10,000, over 1,000, over 100, over 50, over 10. Now, none of those judges, right, were more important than the other. It's just that they were called for a bigger audience. There could be just one person in your life that you will share about Jesus. Maybe one person that you're going to give a compliment to that will change the way that they think. There could be one person that you invite to church. It could be that one person that maybe you don't even know, that you give that genuine compliment to. That one person that you show how to read, or how to balance their checkbook, or to lead the way, or how to be kind, or how to respond differently. That is just as important as those of us who've got a large audience. The size of the audience does not matter. It is the size of the calling. Okay. It is not how many likes or how many people. That's why I love Sparkle. There is no ask on here. I'm not selling anything. I'm not trying. There's no alternative motive to this. None. I just want to come on and share with y'all what I've learned, and to be able to interview some amazing people. So what I want y'all to understand is that whenever you are out there and you are doing your life, that second conversation, I think the one that holds us back, that keeps us so distracted, is, I have to do it because I can do it better than anybody. Oh my gosh, how many of y'all say that? How many of you say that? I know you need to raise your hand. Oh my gosh, right? Because I know I can clean my house better than anybody. I know I can't do laundry. I'm terrible at laundry, but like, I know I can cook better than most. I know, do you know what I'm saying? Like, how many of y'all know that? Like, it's easier for me to just do this than to try to train somebody else to do that, right? How many of you all live in that, I could just do this better? Right? The problem with that is that you don't have enough time and energy to do all of the things that need to happen in a day-to-day basis. And remember, today, obviously the thread for today is that we need to quit stealing from those around us. Because here's what I know. Whenever I have Kelly who comes and cleans my house, I know she's praying over our house, right? She is anointing our house. She is a joy to be with. We've been together for a long, long time. That when she cleans our house, what happens is I'm not emotionally attached to how clean the kitchen is, because I didn't take the hour to clean the kitchen. So if I drop something or I make chicken and dumplings and I got flour everywhere, I don't care because I'm like, wow, that's going to be hard for Kelly to clean. But if I had just cleaned it and somebody else made a mess, then I'm mad. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just wasted my time. Why did you do that? And so what happens is in every action that you take, you're emotionally tied to it if you exchanged your time, your energy, your resources to make that happen. Now, the beautiful thing about me hiring Kelly, and this is where I talk about that win-win, is that's her business. So every time that I get to write her a check, I am helping her live out her dream life because she's doing what she loves to do. She's able to serve us. And during that time, I can either spend time with the Lord or spend time with Tom or spend time with my business. And so it is a win-win all the way around. And then I've got the energy to do that. The same thing with the yard. Tom used to love to do the yard. Ricardo came out yesterday, did our yard. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. And we love praising him. We love bragging on him. If you live in Dixon, you need to have Ricardo do your job, do your yard. It's unbelievable. We sat out there on the porch and we were just befuddled of how great our yard looked. But we loved it because we didn't do it, right? And so it looked great. And that helps him and his family. When Samantha was in school, I am one of those people that are just really good at taking a test. As we watch this thing on Netflix about the Cold War, Tom's like, you know nothing. I'm like, no, I hated history. And he's like, how are you a straight A student? I'm like, I have a photographic memory. And so I'm really good at tests. And so, one of the things that makes me is a terrible teacher. Math is really easy for me. I can look at it. I can figure it out. But Samantha, that was not her gifting. And so what I found is that we would just fight all the time. And she'd be like, my teacher didn't teach me how to do it like that. And I'm like, well, your teacher's stupid because this is how you get there. And like, we're just going at it all the time before I learned some communication skills. And what I found was that it was easier for me to pay for a tutor to come in after school, right? To come in and help Samantha with her homework so that I could start dinner at the same time. We could be visiting, we could have that time so that she didn't come through the door and dread being with me and me dread being with her because of homework. So that little bit of extra money made all the difference. Okay. So the same thing with when my dad lived here, we would hire people to come in and just spend a little bit of time with him. And so that, again, it released time. So I want you all to think about this. Think about where could you get more help? Maybe you need somebody to help you with your money. Maybe you need, this is what I know. And I tell this to my people in Mary Kay. I am not the answer. I am not your spiritual advisor. I am not your financial advisor. I am definitely not your fashionista, right? I am not your health coach. I am a business coach. That's what I am. And then your job is to go out and find experts in other areas. In order for you to live your fullest life, you got to have experts in other things, personal chef, all those things that go along with that. So my challenge to you this week is what we're going to be working on this week. I'm going to pull this up really quick. I'm going to show this screen because this is what we've been working on. Okay, y'all are doing so good. All right, here we go. So this right here is, the stepping out of the box. That's what this is all about here. Stepping out of the box is as you go to step out, we talked about what did your dream life look like? And then we talked about what are the powerful labels that you want to hold close to your heart. What pitiful labels? Those are those second conversations, right? We want to rip those off. And now who could you empower? Who could you empower? And here's just, again, just some of the things, the projects that you could give away so that you could be able to live a life of excellence and not perfection, okay? I want you to realize that things are not as they appear. And this last story that I'm going to share with you, it's kind of a two-part story. I remember I was headed home a couple years ago and I called Samantha and my mouth was all numb. And I remember telling Samantha, oh, I got a crown. If you've ever had dental work, I got a crown. And Samantha could not understand what I was saying. And it was so funny because she's like, Mom, you got another crown. I'm so excited. I don't know why Mary Kay gave you a crown, but you deserve it. You're the best. Whatever you did, I know lives were changed. And I just started cracking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am really a good mom because when my daughter hears crown, she does not think pain, right? Financially and physically because of my teeth. She immediately thinks that there's some sort of recognition recognition. And I ask you all, what about you? I mean, like if I was to talk to your kids, would they default to positive? Would they default that what you're doing is making a difference? Or are you so deferring all the time and poor me, and I got so much to do and I got to do this, and you didn't load that dishwasher right, and then you come in and redo it? That's so disrespectful. You can't fold these clothes right. Oh my gosh, your man has got another job. Guess what? Who cares how the towels are folded? Who cares which way the toilet paper is? Allow people to soar. Allow people to do their own things, because at the end of the day, they are not going to care. And when they think about you with that, it does not make them feel good about themselves. And so what we want to do is when people think about us, we want them to smile because we made them feel so good about themselves. And whenever you get ready to sit down at this banquet seat of life, we talk about this all the time. Our family's not fancy. If you want a biscuit, we're just throwing it over to you. We eat, in fact, on TV tables every night. So we don't even eat at the table. Like, we are very, very, very casual people. And I can remember I did not want to go to any of these fancy dinners. And my mentor, Karen Pirro, took us to the Fairmont. And I can remember telling my director, I'm like, I need to eat at Burger King because, I need some meat. And I got a pretty big appetite. And she said, no, this is going to be great. And I remember coming into this private room, and they had like bread everywhere, and it had all of these fancy plates. And I remember they served this thing, and then they brought us all out individually carved swans, ice swans. And there was this little dollop of ice cream on there. And I remember leaning over to Connie going, oh my gosh, I told you I should have ate. Like, I have gotten one bite of breadstick and something, I don't even know what it is, and they're already serving dessert. And she just laughed, not at me, but at the situation. And she said, Diana, that is called sorbet, and that is to clear your palate so that you are ready for the next course. Well, I didn't know what palate was. But the idea is that there was so much more, and that I had to clear out my small thinking in order to be able to taste all that life had in store, and that we made it all the way through the meal. And I didn't drop anything. I didn't do anything. And that I realized that there is so much more, that the fear of the unknown doesn't trick you into leaving the table. You'll have the opportunity to enjoy the entire experience. More is coming. As it turns out, not knowing which fork to use with each course has nothing to do with being successful. It is the traits of integrity, honesty, and strong work ethic that make the real difference on whether or not you belong at the head table. It is crucial in our legacy to know that we are enough to sit at the banquet seat of life and not eat the breadcrumbs on the floor. So my Sparkle sisters, each one of you all, I'm going to challenge you to share this with a couple of friends. Who do you know that's got that second conversation that is not serving them or their family or their legacy or their calling in any sort of way? This week, I'm going to ask you to take captive that thought and hold it to the light and get rid of it, because you do not deserve the crumbs on the floor. Join me at the big table. Join me at the banquet seat of life. And together, what we are going to do is we are going to chase the lion. With that manifesto this week, we are going to make a ripple effect that is felt globally. I love you all so much. Remember that together we are too blessed to be stressed, too anointed to be disappointed, too equipped to be whipped. Have a miracle-filled day. Bye-bye, y'all.